Every April, 32 NFL franchises gather in a windowless war room and gamble billions of dollars on teenagers. Some of those bets build dynasties. Others end careers, empty stadiums, and rewrite the economic rules of the entire league. This is not a list about players who are merely bad. This is a list about catastrophes. About number 1 overall picks whose careers ended before their second preseason game. About can't-miss prospects who missed so badly that general managers got fired, fan bases lost decades, and in one case, the NFL itself had to restructure how it pays rookies just to make sure it could never happen again. The draft is the only place in sports where hope is still free. Every franchise believes this is the year their luck changes. Every scout believes he has seen something nobody else has. And every April, somebody is catastrophically wrong. So, let's go. Before we start naming names, let's define the term. A bust isn't just a player who underperforms. A bust is a misjudgment so severe that it reshapes a franchise's trajectory. If you're picked 199th like Tom Brady, nobody expects greatness. But if you're taken in the top 10, you're a billion-dollar asset. And when that asset collapses, the damage lasts for years. In the NFL draft, you are never judged in isolation. You are judged by who came after you. And that's where these stories become unbearable. We'll start with Aaron Curry. In 2009, Curry was considered the safest pick in the entire draft. A Wake Forest linebacker, elite athleticism, high character, zero red flags. Seattle took him 4th overall.
When I got drafted, it was tons of excitement just because, you draft into the NFL. It's a dream you dreamed about playing in the league, and now you get this opportunity to do it.
He was out of football by 2013. Curry couldn't process NFL speed, couldn't shed blocks, couldn't translate practice excellence into game impact. No off-field issues, no injuries, no entitlement.
I would say my NFL tenure didn't go how I dreamed it to go because I just wasn't motivated. I just didn't. I looked up and there was nothing that kept me going. I wanted to play in the NFL because I wanted to get the paycheck. And I wanted to get my mom out of her situation. I wanted to change my situation. I wanted to be able to provide for my children. And I did that. And at the end of it, I kind of would look up and there was nothing that would keep me going.
He did everything right and still failed. The Seahawks eventually traded him to Oakland for a 7th-round pick. A 4th overall pick, flipped for a 7th.
There was an error in my motivation. Internally, I am different now. I have a different motivation. My motivation is now I can change the world, and that can last forever. And I'm always passionate about what I'm doing, but I just I lost the love for practice. The passion for the game was there, but I no longer enjoy going out there every day.
Curry is the reminder that safe is often just a slower disaster with better marketing. 1 year earlier, the New York Jets made a louder mistake. With the 6th overall pick in 2008, they took Vernon Gholston out of Ohio State.
Okay, Jet fans, with the 6th pick in the 2008 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Vernon Gholston, defensive end, Ohio State.
On paper, he was engineered in a lab. He benched 225 pounds 37 times at the combine. He ran a 4.68 40 at 266 pounds. He had 14 sacks his final college season. Teams saw a quarterback destroyer. Here's what Vernon Gholston did in 3 NFL seasons. 0 sacks, not 1, not half, 0. He recorded 42 total tackles. He was out of the league by 26. What makes it worse is who the Jets could have had. Jared Mayo, Dwayne Brown, Matt Fort, any of them would have changed the franchise. Gholston is the permanent warning. When a player's measurables explode past his tape, the tape is usually telling the truth. But hype goes both ways. Sometimes teams ignore the tape because the person is too famous to pass on. In 2014, Johnny Manziel was the most marketable college football player in America.
He's taken on Rolling Stones Beatles status.
Manziel Madness has spawned the nickname Johnny Football.
Johnny Football.
Johnny Football. Johnny Football.
think the way that I played quarterback was just a different kind of football.
They couldn't stop him.
He transcended college football and also sport.
A Heisman winner at Texas, A&M, a highlight reel. Backyard football at a professional level. Fans adored him. Cable television could not get enough of him. But NFL evaluators were cautious. There were concerns about his preparation, his maturity, and whether his improvisational style would survive professional defenses. The Cleveland Browns ignored every warning. They took him 22nd overall.
With the 22nd pick, the Cleveland Browns select Johnny Manziel, quarterback, Texas A&M.
That moment was unbelievable.
Right there is the hope for the city of Cleveland.
Manziel started 8 career games. He threw 7 touchdowns against 7 interceptions. Off the field, things unraveled faster. Missed meetings, tabloid headlines.
Stories surfaced about him being late for team meetings. He was demoted to third-string quarterback, a high-priced first-round draft pick heading in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I made a decision to go out on Friday night. I think I was trying to suppress how I felt, and nothing that I'm doing on the weekends is affecting my job. Nothing on the weekends that I'm doing is hopefully hurting any of my teammates in my locker room.
By 2016, he was out of the league. Manziel's real story is not about personal failure. It's about institutional failure. A quarterback who needed chaos to thrive in college was always going to combust the moment professional adversity arrived. Cleveland didn't draft a quarterback. They drafted a brand. 2 years earlier, the Browns had made an even costlier mistake. In 2012, Cleveland traded up to the 3rd overall pick to take Trent Richardson. Analysts called him the next great NFL running back. His rookie season produced over 900 yards and 11 touchdowns. Not superstar numbers, but promising. Then the Browns did something almost unheard of. After 17 career games, they traded Richardson to the Indianapolis Colts for a first-round pick. A first-round pick for a running back who had barely played a full season, and the Browns were right. Richardson averaged 3.1 yards per carry with the Colts, then 3.3. He was out of the NFL by age 25. He washed out of the CFL. His comeback attempts went nowhere. The Browns' own front office figured out Richardson was finished before his second season began, and they still came out ahead in the trade. That is how quickly the bottom can fall out. And before we go any further, quick note, if you're enjoying this breakdown of how the NFL's biggest bets went wrong, do me a favor and hit subscribe. We dig into the business of sports every week, the wins, the losses, the decisions that rewrote franchise history. There's a lot more where this came from. Now back to the list. Because so far, we've been dealing with bad decisions. What comes next is something closer to tragedy. In 2003, the Detroit Lions held the 2nd overall pick. They took Charles Rogers out of Michigan State.
You look at his size, his leaping ability, his speed. Physically, he has it all. He has to set his mind to being a great player.
6'3", soft hands, a local kid. Detroit believed they had their Randy Moss. 5 picks later, the Houston Texans took Andre Johnson. One became a 7-time Pro Bowler and a top 10 receiver of his era. The other broke his collarbone 5 games into his rookie season, broke it again the next year, was suspended for violating the substance abuse policy, and was cut by 2006.
And I feel like if he was here today, life would be different for Charles Rogers.
22 career games, 36 career receptions. Charles Rogers passed away in 2019 at 38.
What he saw on the wall, memories of what could have been, an All-American plaque, a plaque recognizing him as the best wide receiver in football during his final year in East Lansing. Memories of what could have been, and a sad and tragic end to Charles Rogers' life that ends at the age of 38.
A life shaped by injuries and addiction issues that began long before the NFL ever called his name.
Charles Rogers. I had 68 catches and 13 touchdowns.
The Lions repeated the mistake the very next year. They took Roy Williams instead of Larry Fitzgerald. 2 straight top 10 picks on receivers who busted while Hall of Famers went right after them. Now, we move from tragic to almost unbelievable. The 1989 draft is one of the deepest in league history. Troy Aikman, Barry Sanders, Derek Thomas, Deion Sanders, 4 first-ballot Hall of Famers in the top 5. At number 2, the Green Bay Packers picked Tony Mandarich, an offensive lineman from Michigan State. Sports Illustrated put him on the cover and called him the best offensive line prospect ever. A lineman, on the cover, before his first NFL snap.
You know, the hype machine behind him, and arguably he was probably in the best draft. When you think about Troy Aikman was in that draft, Barry Sanders, Deion Sanders, Derek Thomas in that draft, that's at the top end.
You look back on the guys who were taken around him and what they became, you would say that's one of the worst draft picks ever.
Mandarich started 31 games for the Packers and was out of the league by 1993. He later admitted the bulk was the product of a strict pharmaceutical regimen. Under NFL testing, the muscle evaporated, and what was left was an average lineman against elite defensive ends. Meanwhile, Barry Sanders, taken right after him, rushed for over 15,000 yards. If Mandarich is the warning about hype, Ki-Jana Carter is the warning about fragility. 1995 NFL Draft. First overall pick. The Cincinnati Bengals traded up to get him. They were so sure he was the next great running back that they gave up assets to move up one spot.
Cincinnati Bengals have selected running back from Penn State, Ki-Jana Carter.
Ki-Jana Carter tore his ACL on his 3rd preseason carry.
The first pick in the 1995 draft had a torn ACL.
Having Ki-Jana Carter get not just an injury, but a serious injury right from jump in the preseason, it was a disaster, and it set that franchise back.
Not his 3rd regular season carry, his 3rd preseason carry. His very first meaningful touch on an NFL field ended his rookie season before it started. He was never the same player again.
He wasn't ever the same that I saw. Didn't see that same explosiveness. So the consequences of having a surgery like that, an injury like that, were much more difficult to overcome.
He played 7 seasons. He rushed for a grand total of 1,144 yards. That is a decent month for a healthy starter. For a first overall pick, it is a franchise-defining disaster. The Bengals did not win a playoff game for nearly 2 full decades after drafting him, which brings us to the most famous bust in history. 1998, the greatest A or B question in draft history. Peyton Manning or Ryan Leaf? Scouts were genuinely split. Some believed Leaf had the higher ceiling, bigger arm, bigger frame, bigger personality. The Colts took Manning first.
With the first pick of the draft, the Indianapolis Colts select quarterback, University of Tennessee, Peyton Manning.
The Chargers traded up and took Leaf second.
Ryan Leaf.
One pick built a dynasty. The other built the most famous disaster in football. Leaf's downfall was not a lack of talent. It was a complete collapse of character.
Quarterback Ryan Leaf was arrested again today.
Felony burglary, criminal possession of dangerous drugs.
And I spent the next 32 months in prison. I know what the depression and the hopelessness feels like. I know what that feels like because I was right in it. The prison, the negative press, it was just a piece of life I had to get through. I'm so glad I didn't kill myself. My dream was to be a professional athlete.
Ryan Leaf was a prototype. The height to spot receivers, the legs to escape defenders, and the strength to shed them, plus the arm to make.
As a rookie, he threw 2 touchdowns and 15 interceptions. In his second game, he had 2 picks and 3 fumbles. When reporters asked about it, he didn't answer. He exploded.
Don't talk to me, all right? Knock it off! Don't talk to me, all right? Knock it off!
He was caught on camera in the locker room yelling at a reporter.
Career line, 14 touchdowns, 36 interceptions, a career passer rating of 50. Meanwhile, Peyton Manning became Peyton Manning. 5 MVPs, 2 championships, a Hall of Fame career that reshaped the quarterback position. Leaf's life after football became even harder.
Ryan Leaf was arrested Friday in his Montana hometown.
Well, I was always trying to tone Ryan down. always.
Ryan Leaf has been arrested for the second time in just 4 days.
I never wanted him to stick out, but he did.
Commissioner steps to the podium. What happens?
My life ended for like...
What about that guy Ryan Leaf from Washington State?
Like 13 years.
Arrests, burglary charges, prison time. He has since rebuilt himself as a public speaker on addiction, and that work deserves real respect. But the football career remains a wasteland. So why isn't he number one on this list? Because even at his worst, Leaf was a personal disaster. The next man broke the entire economic structure of the NFL. In 2007, the Oakland Raiders used the first overall pick on Jamarcus Russell.
With the first pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select quarterback Jamarcus Russell, LSU.
It was a great feeling. I always wanted to go out and show my talent.
You know, as an employee, you got to do what your boss says, so we tried to make the best of it.
6'6", 260 pounds, an arm like a cannon. There was one throw at LSU, 60 yards on his knees, that made him a legend before he ever took an NFL snap. Al Davis was obsessed with size and velocity, and Russell was a creative player in real life. Oakland gave him a 6-year, $61 million contract, $39 million guaranteed, the largest rookie deal in league history at that time. Russell then held out of training camp trying to get more. Here is what $39 million guaranteed bought. 31 career games, 7 wins, 18 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, a 52% completion rate, a passer rating of 65.2, out of the league at 25. But the numbers do not capture the story. Russell reportedly showed up to camp over 300 pounds. He lacked the work ethic to lead a locker room.
I am a person that believes in second chances. I think America is the land of second chances, except for when it comes to this dude, Mr. Jabba the Hutt, you fat, slovenly, no good, lazy.
Oh, come on.
And then came the most infamous story in draft history. Suspicious of his preparation, Raiders coaches gave him DVDs of Blitz film to study at home. The next day, they asked how they looked. Russell said the Blitz packages looked good. The DVDs were blank. Whether every version of that story is literally true, it is what the league now believes. And in the NFL, belief is everything. Oakland cut him after 3 seasons. No other team signed him.
Yeah, losing your job is bad enough, but today Russell was arrested and charged with possession of a controlled substance, the drug codeine syrup. And when mixed with soda, it creates purple drank or scissor. And one thing is for sure, this arrest won't help his chances of finding a new gig.
Here is what places Jamarcus Russell at the top of this list. The NFL looked at what happened with him and completely restructured how it pays rookies. The current rookie wage scale, implemented in 2011, exists largely because of what he cost. One player was so financially catastrophic that the league rewrote its rules to make certain it could never happen again. Ryan Leaf broke a franchise. Jamarcus Russell broke the system. There are more ghosts. Akili Smith, 3rd overall in 1999, whom the Bengals picked after turning down 9 picks from Mike Ditka. Tim Couch, 1st overall to an expansion Browns team, sacked into irrelevance behind terrible lines. Sam Bradford, a Heisman winner whose knees betrayed him. And the more recent lessons. Mitch Trubisky, whom the Bears traded up to take in 2017, passing on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Trey Lance, for whom San Francisco traded 3 first-round picks to move up to number 3.
With the 3rd pick, the San Francisco 49ers select Trey Lance.
Oh my God, it's Trey Lance!
It is Trey Lance.
Oh!
That threw us for a loop.
Hey, Trey Lance, you ready to do this thing, man?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the 49ers, buddy.
Then found their actual franchise quarterback in Brock Purdy with the final pick of the same draft. You are never judged in isolation. You are judged by who came after you. So why does this keep happening? After all these examples, you would think teams would learn. They don't. Because the draft is not about talent. It is about projection. And projection is where smart people lose their jobs. Teams fall in love with physical traits over football IQ. with potential overproduction, with combine numbers over game tape. They convince themselves they can fix a player nobody else could. Sometimes it works, most of the time it does not. And every red flag on this list was visible before the pick was made. Leaf's temperament, Russell's weight, Manziel's lifestyle, Golston's production gap, Mandarich's chemistry. The warnings were all there. They were ignored because desperation breeds magical thinking, and magical thinking produces decisions that look insane in hindsight but felt inevitable in the moment. So the next time you watch the draft and an analyst calls a prospect guaranteed, remember this. They said it about Leaf. They said it about Russell. They said it about Mandarich. They said it about Carter. The draft is the only place in sports where hope is still free. Every franchise believes their luck is about to change. We ignore the ghosts because we want to believe in the next superstar. And that is the real curse of can't miss. Not that players fail, but that we keep pretending we can predict who won't. If you enjoyed this video, stick with Primetime Sports, subscribe, and check out some of our other content right here.